Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and welcome back to this third lecture of section 2 in a course on Excel for Business Analytics. In this section, we are actually going to talk about editing of the data, and my primary focus would be to touch base quickly with techniques that you can effectively use while actually editing data in Excel or editing data in mass in Excel, because as a business analyst, you can come across, several scenarios where you would require to actually in mass edit the data. So moving quickly to our example sheet. Uh, First of all, I would like you to focus more on the left hand side table. And in this table, we have the location number, we have the location city, we have the total sales. So the first function that I am going to talk about is actually the find function, and you primarily require the find function because it lets you find anything of your interest or something that you're actually trying to find out in a particular workbook or the entire worksheet by passing this command or looking for it. So you can actually invoke or call the control find function by simply pressing Control F. But before we do that, just focus on the table that's on the left hand side over here, where we have the location number, the location city, and the total sales columns. And over here, you will see that I have the location city, where we have Karachi, Faisalabad, Islamabad, but these cities are actually, reoccurring again and again in the data. So let's say I just want to find, uh, you know, a particular city, let's say Karachi. And once I do that, it actually goes to the instance where, it finds the text Karachi. If I press find next, it's actually going to jump the table because, the value Karachi is in multiple tables over here. But if, you had a single column which had location city in it, it would actually stick to that particular column and just search it. You can actually restrict the find function to actually just look at a particular column by just simply selecting that column and then invoking the Control F command. And once you do that and then find a particular value, it's actually going to stick to that column and then stay with that column. It's not gonna flip flop around inside the Excel book or the worksheet finding that value. Now, in addition to this, if you want to look at all the instances where Karachi is actually occurring, you can just simply click find all. And what that does is it actually gives you the list of wherever Karachi is occurring in that area of interest of yours. So right now, wherever Karachi is occurring, Excel by clicking and pointing is actually telling you that Karachi is present in this cell. It's present in B19. It's present in B22. It's present in B2. It's present in B25. Let's try this once again. Let's try to do this for Islamabad. So you see, it's actually finding Islamabad, by moving down the list, and by pressing find all, you can see that it actually gives you the entire list of all the occurrences and the places or the cells or the location where actually Islamabad, Islamabad is actually occurring, in the area that you were searching in. So I'm now now I'm actually going to talk about the find and replace command. So uh, the replace command, which is actually embedded in the find function, it comes sort of packaged with it, is actually a very nifty way of finding something and then replacing it with whatever value that you want to actually replace it with. So like for in our example, you can actually call the replace function if you press Control F, and over here you would see that there's a replace button right next to the find button. Just click over there and just tell Excel, you actually didn't make a selection. Let's quickly make a selection over here. So you want to change something in this column. You want to find something particular and then change it. Control F, go to replace, find Karachi and replace it with shell code. There are two options now at your disposal. One is you can actually either replace them one by one. Okay, I think actually location Siri is causing this. Yeah, you can either replace them one by one. So you see that it finds Karachi, and once you press replace, it actually replaces it with shellcode. So wherever you actually see Karachi is actually getting replaced by shellcode, and Excel is actually going to go over all the list one by one, and it's going to replace, at your command, Karachi with shellcode. So this actually gives you a lot of control. Takes more time, but it actually gives you more control over what you're replacing, and you can actually then keep a check on what you want to replace and what you don't want to replace. On the other hand, if you want to replace in mass, again, let's say you want to replace Faisalabad with Gujranwala, you just go ahead and press replace all, and it's going to first of all replace everything in your selection area, and then going to give you a prompt telling you that it's all done, and Excel had to go ahead and make 7 changes in your area of selection. So this is the way you can actually use the find and replace command in order to actually quickly clean your data, sift through it, and make adjustments wherever you actually want to. In order to actually do some cell level editing, you can actually double click on the cell, and you will be able to see that Excel has given you access to the cell level. You can actually make whatever changes you want to at the cell level, and this is the interactive GUI that I've actually been talking about, that you can actually go into a particular cell and actually change whatever you want to. You can actually do it over here as well, and change this to whatever value or text that you want to. Be reminded that while you're doing this, you do not have access to any of the options because you are inside the cell. So nothing actually works inside the cell. Everything works over the cell. So once you're inside in the cell level, none of these options are actually, most of them are actually not available. You cannot actually do a lot once you're inside the cell, but once you're actually out and above the cell, or actually at a macro level, this is where you can actually in mass make any changes. So let's talk a little bit about formulas versus functions and what's the primary difference between them. As an analyst or a business analytics professional, you would require spending a lot of time with formulas and functions, because one of your primary responsibilities is actually to compile and congest all the data together, and formulas and functions actually allow you to do that. The best way for me to actually show you the difference between formulas and functions is to actually show you by an example that how they are actually constructed, or what's actually their primary difference. So I'm actually going to write a formula right now where my objective is to sum this total sales column. So I'm going to press equal, and then I am going to go into each cell one by one and tell Excel that I want to add all of these up. So by using this formula, I actually get an answer of 10,742. Now you guys might be thinking that why didn't he just select this entire range and then simply add this whole thing up, because if you try to do that, it's actually not going to work, because we did not use a function to actually sum everything up together. That's why it gave us this crazy looking answer. Okay, so this is the primary difference in a formula and a function. A function actually is usually used to summarize or summate expanded data, whereas in a formula you actually construct the whole thing bit by bit, as we did over here. So let's see if we can actually see some examples of functions. So let's say I want to sum again these these column values, you can see over here that it has done the same thing that it did earlier at the bottom. But now I am actually going to bake this selection range into a sum function. Once I do that, it actually starts giving me the correct answer. So what I did was that I used the sum function in order to actually encapsulate all the range values so that they could be summarized using the sum function. So this is the primary difference in a formula where you actually construct the formula bit by bit, piece by piece, whereas the sum function actually allows you to use the function and its functionality to summarize a plethora of values or a range of values. Let's try another example. I want to have an average of my total sales column. So it actually gives me an average of my total sales column. If I wanted to do this manually, I would actually do it like this. That I would first of all use the same methodology over here and then divide this by the number of values, because that's what an average is, right? It actually is the sum of all the values divided by the number of values. So these values count up to 13, and once I do that, it actually gives me the exact same answer of 826.30, 826.30. So a function or functions actually help you, in a much faster way, like construct something logical and help you summarize all the data very quickly. Whereas formulas, you have to actually construct them bit by bit. There are instances where functions actually sort of fail you. That's where you actually need to know how a formula is actually constructed in Excel. But most of the times, functions actually do the trick.